good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what part of the globe you're hearing my voice from. Of course, I'm super glad to come your way again. And of course, as we say in Biafra Superstars Media, we say it the way it is. We call a spade, not agricultural instrument. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. And of course, because we are still talking about maximum leaders, stampede, quick conviction, trial and mistrial that elicited it, culminated in a conviction, and from which he was stampeded to the Sokoto maximum uh, correctional facility, if you like prison. Yes, we're still talking about it because, of course, it looked like a deliberate punishment measure. It was like they wanted to give it to him as a punishment for whatever they thought he had done. Justice James Kolawa Motosho was the, axeman, the hatchman that did the job, and they did it for them very effectively and very efficiently. Of course, claiming to be, very vast in legal and constitutional provisions. But of course, we know this was all part of the plan. This was part of the plan. The plan had been all the time to look for a way, to convict and to deal decisively with this evil man, this Biafran man who had the guts to call Nigeria a zoo, who had the guts, you know, to talk face to face with PMB and call him names, late PMB. So they felt we must get him, but we must get him in a way that it would seem, yeah, nobody would know what our intentions were, but we'll deal with him decisively. So that is what has happened. Yes, he has been convicted of 7 charges, all 7 charges. Yes, he has been given a life sentence and several other charges, several other, you know, convictions, but all were run concurrently. And he has been transferred to the maximum uh, security facility, maximum prison, correctional facility at Sokoto State, of all places, at the heart of the desert, if you ask me. Yeah, that's what it is. But hey, we're talking about a dimension here. We are bringing in someone who has observed that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot be bottled up. You cannot bottle him up. You cannot set him to oblivion. You cannot delete his history. No matter what you do, he's still very much in the public, domain. It's very much in the social domain, not just in Nigeria, but even outside Nigeria. And so a lot of people are coming in to say what they have heard or what they have noticed. And today's audio is the fact that, a clergy has come out to say, yes, indeed, I was shocked beyond, my expectations, you know, to be in Spain, and I heard people talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as if they were with him in Nigeria. The clergyman was shocked beyond, his expectations. He was shocked to see, people in Spain all excited, all very much aware and highly jubilant that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still alive, still speaking truth to power, and is still the leader they all wanted. They were not deterred by the fact that he had been incarcerated. He had been, if you like, containerized and parceled down to the Sultan of Sokoto in Sokoto State. Ladies and gentlemen, for the purpose of this audio, I want to make it, caption it, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is unstoppable. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is unstoppable. Let's get into it. Yes. First of all, let's quote this quote. I was in Spain and I saw a lot of people talking about Kanu's case, and you can't take that away. Ebuno, Ebuno. Yes. In a recent interview on Right, uh, in a recent interview on Right Reverend Ikechukwu Ebuno, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Oji River in Enugu State, has said that the influence of detained IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has grown beyond regional or ethnic boundaries, describing him as a social figure whose appeal now stretches across continents. The IPOB leader was sentenced to life imprisonment and is currently held at the Sokoto Maximum Correctional Center. According to the Anglican bishop, Kanu's continued global relevance reflects the depth of public interest in his case, as well as the expanded reach of the movement he helped shape. Quote, the Igbo man has grown to become the leader of the largest mass movement in the world, or maybe in Africa. And you can't take that away from him. Yes, from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He has followers. I was in Spain and saw a lot of people talking about his case. I was in Germany. I was in Switzerland. Everywhere you go, not only Igbos, but also Yoruba people and many others are keen on what he's doing. So you cannot remove the fact that the guy is a social leader. Egbono stressed that regardless of differing political views, it is important for the Nigerian government to approach Kanu's case with fairness and sensitivity, warning that the sentiments surrounding his detention continue to shape national and diaspora conversations. He urged leaders at all levels to prioritize dialogue, justice, and equitable treatment of all citizens to strengthen unity and restore public confidence in the country's institutions. Yes, that was uh, uh, Right Reverend Ikechukwu Ebono, the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Fuji River in Enugu State. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a local champion. Far from it. A lot of people are seeing him as a local champion, a man who is just interested, in tribal pursuits. No way. This man is not a local champion. You can see in Spain, you can hear in Germany, in Switzerland, you can hear in Finland, even the Americas. Yes. In Canada, in Europe, in Asia, everybody is talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And whether you like it or not, whether the Nigerian government decide to respect it or not, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a freedom protester. Yes, a passionate one. Yes, a peaceful protester, and the like of the late Martin Luther King of America, and the like of African legends like Nelson Mandela. This man is not a local figure. He's not a small fry, if you like, but this guy is a gigantic social mobilizer. Yes, he is talking about the Biafran situation. He dwelt on the plight of his people. Yes, he tried to make the world realize that this lip service, this so-called lip service where, a country claims, not just a country, Nigeria claims to be united, to be a federation. Meanwhile, everything they do, all they act, is a contrary uh, a contrary depiction of what Nigeria represents. You can't claim to be united. You can't claim to be a federation. Meanwhile, a very pivotal aspect, one of the tripods, great tripods that form Nigeria, the Eastern Bloc, is being treated with derision. It's been treated like they don't matter. It's been treated like a defeated people. That, in its entirety, was completely out of sync with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And they said, no, this shouldn't be the case. You don't treat my people like a defeated people. You don't continue to treat them like people who are defeated at the war. That very war, the Biafran War of 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. The general head of state then, the head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, is still alive today. He declared that war, no victor, no vanquished at the end. And of course, he promised to reintegrate, to rehabilitate, and, you know, yes, of course. Yes, there are Yakubu Gowon there had, made it very, very plain, very obvious, and the national mantra that he was going to rehabilitate, he was going to reintegrate, and he's going to reconstruct all affected war regions. And we had all looked forward to it. We look forward to the famous 3R of General Yakubu Gowon. Equally, we were very much expectant when they said they had granted pardon. No victor, no vanquished. And it promised to do the needful, especially reward the people who were affected in the war, the Biafrans, back with their finances. Ladies and gentlemen, you can imagine the shock, utter dismay of Biafrans when what they were gifted with was a paltry 20 pounds. It didn't matter how much. It didn't matter how much you had in your bank accounts. It didn't matter. Of course, it didn't matter whether you were a rich man. It didn't matter whether you were a captain of industry. It didn't matter whether you had houses and millions in your account. You were given a miserly, a paltry 20 pounds. That alone was like suicidal notes. It was like mass suicide. Take the 20 pounds and go and die. So these were some of the things Mazi Nnamdi Kanu saw, and they were bold enough to tell the world about it. Told Nigerian governments about it. He told them this was not good. You should treat my people right. Treat them well. If you want us to belong here, you must give us a sense of belonging. We cannot continue to act like fugitives. We cannot continue to act like defeated people. You cannot continue to marginalize us, treating us with all manners of discomfort, making life unbearable for us. None of our children, None of our leaders can assume number one position in the land. You make sure they don't ascend. Meanwhile, the North keeps producing head of state, presidents, head of state, president back to back since independence. When they are tired of it, they pass the baton down to the Southwest. And the Southwest will produce the head of state, presidents, head of state, presidents. When they're tired, they give it back to the North. And of course, he wondered why this should not come to the East. If we are part of the tripod that built Nigeria, if we're part of the tripod, the formidable tripod that formed this country since its amalgamation in 1914, then of course we should be given an opportunity to also prove our mettle. We should be given the chance to rule this country, yes, so that we can bring our quota to the socio-economic development of Nigeria. Why do you treat my people as second fiddle? This was what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told them. And he told them again, he likened Nigerian situation to a marriage. I mean, this is a man who doesn't want his wife anymore. You don't want her anymore. Of course, you have an option. You let her go. Let her go so that she can go and meet other suitors who might perhaps love her, no matter what you saw was her inherent inadequacies. But no, Nigeria held on, holding on to a wife that you say you don't love anymore, holding on to a husband that you say you don't want anymore. Does it make any sense? Does it make any appeal? I mean, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of man, that is terrible, terrible subjugation. Yes, it didn't work well. And they said, if you don't want us to coexist, we don't want my people to continue to be Nigerians, then let us go. Let us go because, especially since 1914, following the amalgamation of Nigeria, yes, Lord Lugard insisted, and it was inscribed that after 100 years, these people cannot coexist successfully. They cannot coexist wonderfully well. They cannot be united. Please, please give them the freedom. Let each of them go their own ways. Any region that wants to go, let it go. Lord Lugard had that inscribed. Yes, it was there. It was there during the amalgamation. And of course, Nigeria became 100 years in 2014. 2014. That means, of course, it is time to tell ourselves the reality. It is time to tell ourselves the sad truth that is not working. The amalgamation is not working. Different nationalities, different countries were forced together. People who had different cultures, people who had different motivational arousals, people of different religious backgrounds were forced together, round pegs in round holes, round pegs, if you like, in square holes. And of course, each of them was fighting vigorously, to live or to survive, or to, of course, breathe. When you are finding it difficult to breathe, when you cannot breathe anymore in any relationship, the best thing at any point in time is walk away. Walk away before it is too late. And so he dared the Nigerian authorities. If you don't want my people to continue as Nigerians, then let Biafra go. Let us move and form our own entity and form our own sovereign, independent nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian authorities didn't buy to this. Instead, they continued. They've arrested him, kidnapped him from Kenya, and have called him a terrorist. Tried him for terrorism and secessionist agenda. And Justice James Kolawole Motosho was the final person who was used, the judge who was used to convict him. And they have sent him life imprisonment at the Sokoto correctional facility. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here in a recent interview, Right Reverend Ikechukwu Egbono, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Oji River in Enugu State, has said that the influence of detained IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has grown beyond regional or ethnic boundaries, describing him as a social figure whose appeal now stretches across continents. Yes, because according to the Anglican Bishop, Kanu's continued global relevance reflects the depth of public interest in his case, as well as the expansion reach. Yeah, because according to the Anglican bishop, Kanu's continued global relevance reflects the depth of public interest in his case, as well as the expanding reach of the movement he helped shape. And of course, he much more clarified what he was saying when he said the Igbo man has grown to become the leader of the largest mass movement in the world, or maybe in Africa, and you can't take that away from him. Nnamdi Kanu, yes, you can't take it away from Nnamdi Kanu. He has followers all over the world. Yes, he said, I was in Spain. I was in Spain and saw a lot of people talking about his case. I was in Germany. I was in Switzerland. Everywhere you go, not only Igbos, but also Yoruba people and many others are keen on what he's doing. So you cannot remove the fact that the guy is a social leader. Yes, we want to stress that regardless of different political views, it is important for the Nigerian government to approach Kanu's case with fairness and sensitivity, warning that the sentiments surrounding his detention continue to shape national and diaspora conversations. He urged leaders at all levels to prioritize dialogue, justice, and equitable treatment of all citizens to strengthen unity and restore public confidence in the country's institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a tribal bagot. It's not, a small fly that you can bury. Take it or leave it. The earlier the Nigerian government realizes that they are dealing with, an icon, yes, an iconic leader, a man in the mode of late Martin Luther King Jr. of America, a man who is in the mode of Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, a nationalist, and a man who is very much at home, like Nelson Mandela, despite all the provocations, despite all the apartheid, despite all the humiliations, despite all the years of imprisonment. Yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a local fly. You must respect him. You must respect the Biafrans because he means more to us than meets the eye. He is a man we love. He's a man that we respect because, of course, he speaks truth. He says it the way it is because he spade is spade, not an agricultural instrument. And we know everything he's saying is true, sincere and true, and nobody can hide that from us. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a local fly. He is far bigger than that. And the Nigerian government must respect that. They must revisit his case and, of course, do the needful. Justice James Kolawole Omotocho's trial and mistrial was a complete negation of the rule of law, a complete about turn, 360 degrees about turn of the judiciary of Nigeria. The truth must be told and be seen to be told. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave it here. God bless us all. Take care and bye-bye.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in